Okay, once you have your embroidered piece, you're ready to make a patch. The first thing that I do is I iron the embroidered piece. So to do that, I always flip it over to the back. And then you can either choose to do that, or for extra precaution, you can take a tea towel or a sheet or scrap fabric, and you can iron on top of that. The flatter your fabric can be before you start making your patch, the better, so that your cuts are precise. Okay, so then the next thing, once you've gotten your piece ironed, is to cut around your patch design, and you want to give a good margin, about a ½ inch around, to make sure you have plenty to fold over when we actually make the patch. Take your time, because you only get one pass at this. Okay, the next thing we want to do is we want to clip our curve so that when we fold it over, it will lay nicely. So starting where the curve starts, so about here, you're going to want to make little triangle clips. Be super careful doing this. Around, leaving 1/8 to 1/4 inch between your design, so the edge and the edge of that. You definitely want to use your best sewing scissors for this project so that your cuts are nice and clean. Scissors that also cut paper are usually not the best to use for fabric. You want a very sharp pair. Okay, so now that you've clipped your curve, we're going to iron and fold over so that our patch edge is the edge, our finished edge. So we're gonna flip it over. And then I usually start on this straight part down here. Be very careful. And then I'm gonna start working my way around. Folding and ironing. Be very, very careful of your fingers when you're doing this. You can choose to use a cloth if you want, but I find that to be really, really difficult since there's so much precision in this part. So if you have a super hot iron, make sure you turn your iron down a touch so that you don't burn your fabric. Okay, now just go really slowly on the curve. See how when I fold this in, because we clipped, I'm able to kind of curve that around and tuck it. So there's not a lot of bunching fabric right there. And then you flip it over, tuck it all under, and give it a little check. Boom, boom, boom. These can definitely be a little finicky, but I promise it will work out. Okay. So now that you have your patch nicely ironed, we're going to work on our inner facing. So first, you'll want to trace around the perimeter of your patch. The pencil's usually best because a pen could accidentally get on your patch. So around the curve. Okay, so now you have this. And then what we want to do is we just want to cut like 1/8 of an inch inside, a hair inside the line that you drew, so that this doesn't come out beyond your patch. Okay, so now we have our patch that's ironed and we have our inner facing cut to mount on the back. Inner facing has 2 sides. One feels bumpy and one feels smooth. The bumpy side is the one that has adhesive on it. And so what we're going to do is use our iron to adhere the inner facing to the back of the patch. This will give, well, it kind of glues down our edges really nicely, and it also gives additional stability to the patch. So that it is easier to sew on and feels more patch-like. Okay, so the bumpy side goes down because that's the glue. And what I do is I kind of line this up before I actually take the iron to it to make sure everything looks good. And then again, you can use a cloth. I know my iron really well, so I'm just gonna go directly on it. And I start at the top because the curved edge is definitely trickier. You just hold your iron in place. And I just work my way down nice and slowly. So that I make sure I have a really nice, clean back. Okay, and on this last corner, I'm just gonna make sure it all lines up. And then I'm gonna iron here. And then I'm done. Perfect.